What's going on, Andrew? You are up next. Are you a first-time caller, Andrew? I believe so. I don't recognize your name.
Hey Bar, how are you?
Are you a first-time caller?
No, I actually called in 2 times before, but it's been a while. Like it must
Okay.
have been over a year from the last time I called in.
You're French, right?
Spanish.
Oh, Spanish. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Where's this? Where's this played out of?
No worries, Bar. This is a 2-5-10 played in Florida and Seminole Hard Rock.
And is this a 1K? 2-5-10? Like, is a three blind setup or?
No, sorry. So it's a 2-5-1K cap,
Okay.
but
Straddle's on.
yeah, straddles on has been on for the last 2 hours. Everybody's straddling, and
Yep.
we're 2K effective with the main villain.
All right. So 2K effective, 2-5 plus 10. It's a 1K cap game. Okay. Start us off here.
Yeah, so it starts with the UTG player. He limps, caught up also limps. And then I'm on the small blind. Here's the small blind with Jack 10 of diamonds.
Cut off limps. Cut off limps? Is that what
Yes,
you said? Okay. So you're in the small blind with Jack 10 of diamonds. Okay. Yep.
yes. And I raise it up to 55.
Okay.
The straddle calls.
Straddle calls.
Yes.
Okay.
Then now UTG limp re-raises, but only to 145.
So UTG limp re-raises, something we don't see all that often, to 145. Something of note here, just Andrew, as an aside, if you're really looking to clean up your pre-flop game here, let's take a look at the straddles play here. So under the gun limps, cutoff limits, hero in the small blind goes to 55. If the straddle is going to VPip his hand, shouldn't he almost always 3-bet here?
Yes, yes. Because with two limbs behind, I
Yeah.
mean, we're gonna have a four-way pot. It's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, you raise, right? You drive the limpers out, and then I get position over you, right, in the small blind. So calling here just seems kind of like, I mean, the only time maybe I could see calling would be like a set mine, very, very small pair with some whales and stuff behind where there's like infinite money going in when somebody even is the pre-flop raiser and doesn't flop top pair, like sometimes in Texas games. But I mean, that's basically it. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Straddle calls, UTG limp re-raises to 145. So that is very small, right, with a caller to his right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was my first thought. And I mean, this player was an older player, but he's definitely not tied or an OMC. Like I've seen him limber race from up front with unsuited broadways and even some suited like king queen. So he definitely has more hands here than just aces and kings.
So you actually don't think this is like that traditional range of what a limp re-raise is?
No, no, because this guy had been limber raising quite a few hands in at least in the last 5-6 hours, and I actually saw so much showdown that
Hmm.
were not just aces and kings. So that was interesting to know as the hand goes forward.
I am never a proponent of limp re-raising anything for the most part, but I do say sometimes that if you wanted to play a balanced strategy where you had some limp re-raises, and the only times that this ever comes into play is usually on Mississippi button straddles and like really, really weird type of configuration where maybe you're first to act, like in a 10-handed game in a Mississippi straddle where you're on the small blind, and just raising from like the number one spot there is so tight. It's kind of similar to the way that I talk about double board bomb pots. Like I check blind from the first two spots, that you develop a limp range, and then you would be limp re-raising some strong hands, but then also limp re-raising some bluffs here too, maybe with some, ace X suited type of holdings. It's definitely not a common type of situation, but it is rare to see people actually limp re-raising a wider type of range. So under the gun limp re-raise to 145. I assume cutoff gets out of the way.
Yes, got a fold,
Yep.
and now we get back to hero. And here, what are your thoughts?
Well, you've got a guy behind you, which means it's going to be obviously less hard. It's going to be harder to realize. The pot is 110, like 250. It's probably 275. It's what is it, like 275, 90 for you to call? So you're getting like 3-1 here.
Yes,
I mean, Jack 10 suited is a pretty good hand. I hate kind of being out of position here against two guys with it. But I always say, like, if you go back, if you put yourself in a situation like where, let's say you were just in a traditional two blind type of setup, right? You were in the big blind with Jack 10 suited. Under the gun raised. Under the gun was a tight player. And then like the button called, another decent player. Would you call in the big blind getting 3-1 with Jack 10 suited? Probably, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, that's my counter to that. So,
Yeah, so my thoughts were like maybe attacking the weak size and maybe I could throw in a 4-bet. But then at the same time, I think I could do that with hands that have an ace on their hand, like maybe like ace 10 suited or maybe ace 5. Because Jack 10, I'm really not unblocking it. I'm not blocking any of the top range of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind the thought though, right? Because if you've noticed that this guy is actually not, this is not a typical limp re-raising range. I mean, if this was a typical limp re-raising, 4-betting here would be a disaster, right?
Oh yeah.
But you're picking up on the fact that the sizing is weird. You've seen him do it wider. If you were to 4-bet here, you'd drive the guy out to your left. It's just that you'd be playing like a pretty bloated pot up. Like even if you went to like 2.5 here or something like that. I mean, the pot's going to be like 800 and you guys, you'll still have about 2 SPRs moving, to the flop, and then you're going to be out of position. I could see it. I could see 4-betting here. I think that those are two viable options. Sounds to me like you called. Is that right?
Yes, I did call, and surprisingly, the straddle actually folds.
Well, that's good.
Heads up.
That's good, because I wouldn't have expected the straddle. I would have almost expected the straddle to always call, right? Because he's going to be getting that type of price. So, well, now your heads up. It's just that you don't have the betting lead. So
exactly
290, maybe like 360 in the pot, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the flop.
The flop comes 7 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, 4 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, 4 of diamonds. Is that right?
Yes.
So you flop a flush draw. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yep. I check, and billion bets 115.
115.
Yes. About a third pot.
Did you say that this guy was, he was like an older guy? Is that what you said?
Yes. He was an older guy, but definitely like not old man coffee. Like. So,
I mean, again, I'm going to throw something out that is definitely something that is not in line with theory, but I just throw it out for some live experience because I've played live over the last 15, 20 years. Depending on player, and it's funny because I just actually put up my CLP video, which was a little bit late for subscribers today. Usually it goes up on Fridays. And I was talking about taking different lines against different levels, different skill levels of opponents, meaning if an opponent that's good versus an opponent that's bad, how I might take a different line. In this particular case, if I thought that your opponent wasn't a guy that really was studied or wasn't necessarily was more playing off of his own hand here, where if I check raised, he was just going to fold out all non-pairs. Like he's c-betting ace king or ace queen, and if I check raise, he's just going to fold it out, and it doesn't matter. Then I might actually consider raising here, especially if you picked up on the fact that his sizing was a little bit strange, with the fact that he only went to 145 and he has other hands here, like he can have like queen jack or something like that. You've got a little bit of a backdoor here too with the, you can pick up an 8 or a 9 to pick up a straight draw. Obviously it would rather have an 8-4-4, but I could actually see making that play. Now, if he's gonna be bet calling with a lot of stuff here anyways, and he knows that you never have a 4, because it's like, what are you representing? That's the other issue here. So if you're playing against a non-studied player who's just playing off their hand, he's not going to put together what a studied player would put together, which is, what are you raising here with? Like, you don't have queens, kings, or aces because you would drive the straddle out behind you. So what is this, right? But some people just play their hand face up. Now, to counter that, you could also play a line of I just call. If he checks back a brick turn, I'm just going to bluff river too. So, you know what I mean?
So those were my exact thoughts. I thought, again, like here on this flop, I mean, the villain like had a kind of weird like pre-flop ranges, but he was, I mean, he knew what was going on. He wasn't just truly playing out of his hand. So yeah, I think we're not representing much. So I just elect to call in this case.
We definitely wouldn't be representing much. That's for sure. No doubt about it. Now the pot's 590. Okay.
Yes. So the pot is 590, and the turn is the king of spades.
King of spades.
Yep. So
Right.
hero checks.
By the way, this is where also too you get into a situation where sometimes like it's kind of a weird thought. When you make a play on the flop that just wins you the pot, it's almost kind of like a tournament type of mentality. Kind of reminds me of the last call. You will sometimes end the hand and prevent yourself from getting bluffed actually later on. I mean, you're behind the ace queen anyways, but say like, say you had something else that beat ace queen and, now he bets the turn here as a king and then you just fold out what ended up being the best hand. But obviously you don't have any showdown value here either, but the pot's 590, the turn's the king of spades. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So here, I mean, on other turns, since we have no showdown value, and then we would be getting to the river out of position, I would have thought on turns maybe like an 8 or a 9, like you said before, I could potentially like check raise here. But I think on a king, I mean, this card favors his range quite a bit, so I'm just kind of handcuffed to call.
Well, I mean, I think depending on his sizing, you just have a pure dry flush draw. I think you fold a lot here too, right? Right. If you bet 400 here, right, you're not gonna.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I forgot to say the sizing. He bet 200.
So hero checks. Okay. So hero checks and UTG bets 200.
Yeah. So sorry, I went over my thoughts after.
No problem.
What his bet sizing was, but I do agree. I think if he bets larger, like I'd probably just fold at this point.
Yeah. This is interesting though. It's interesting in the sense that I know what you had said before. So you're getting, you're getting 4-1. You're almost getting a direct price. Now, obviously the board is paired, so you have reverse implied odds. In reverse implied odds, this is the exact definition of a reverse implied odds. And sometimes this confuses people what reverse implied odds are. So reverse implied odds refers to the times that you make your hand in the form of diamonds, but you're no good. So if you make your hand, you lose more. So if this guy had a boat right now, right? He had pocket kings right now. This is all 100% reverse implied odds, meaning if you make it, you're going to lose more. So there's always that. There's always that possibility. You also don't have the nut draw. There's a higher diamond draw possibility. The board is paired. So you have to take that into account when you don't have the nut draw and the board's paired, you're getting a direct 4-1. But the other thing here though, too, that's kind of, I understand, again, you're not repping much by check raising. It just kind of sucks to like call and miss. You know what I mean? Like you call the 200, you miss, and he wins with like ace jack with a hand that he might fold if you were to check raise here.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, those were my thoughts. But I think on a king, I just probably it's not the best card to do it. But I would have done it again on an 8 or a 9 for sure because I pick up even more equity. And yeah, I do agree with the reverse implied odds. The only thing I would disagree with is I think maybe that's going to come into play a little bit later on. I don't think Villain as played has king.
Just because why? He wouldn't bet the turn?
No, because I don't think he would raise that small preflop.
Right. So, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like say he has ace 4 suited here or something, or pocket sevens, you know what I mean? Some type, or some other overpair where you make your diamond and then you boat up. It's interesting. People are saying in the chat that they would fold here now, even getting 4-1.
Yes, I got a lot of that on Discord.
Yeah.
When I posted this hand on Discord, a lot of people were already like saying fold because I was out of position. And again, like what you said, a lot of reverse implied odds. Even if I make my hand, I can lose a lot of money.
Right.
And we're fairly deep.
Right. No, I mean, I can see, I mean, so again, it's you have a non-nut draw, meaning that there could be higher diamonds out there. And you've got this board paired texture where, yeah, you could lose more, which would definitely, you would want to sort of widen. And the thing here is that really, I mean, if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I'm just going to call with the direct price of 4-1, that's what it is with a flush draw. The problem is that you're going to have to expand that out because of the implied odds, which means that you're probably not getting the direct price. Because if he has a pair above a jack, like either whether he paired his king or he's got queens or whatever, I mean, you're just looking at a dry flush draw. So with one card to come, yeah, I mean, I can get on board with folding too, from what people are saying. So, but it sounds to me like you called.
Yes, I did call.
Pot's like 1,000, right? Ish.
Yeah, 990.
Yep, 990, and then you guys have so you 264, 6 like 1,500 or so left, something like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
a little bit more than 1,500
yeah.
left.
All right.
So the river is an interesting one, and it's a 5 of diamonds. So I do make my flush.
Well, I mean, I think you're CLP subscriber, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've been with me. I think you have been. I even recognize your name. I mean, you know what my bread and butter is in these spots. I mean, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me to really ever check this river, and I'll tell you 2 reasons why. It's because, like, if you actually thought you were bluff catching the guy on the turn, you wouldn't call the turn. It would be a raise or a fold, right? And the problem here is that, like, he's just going to check behind on the front door side.
Yes.
So I don't know how.
I'm gonna check a lot.
Yeah. Again, you can obviously bet the river and then have a very aggressive response from him. But I don't see how, as played, how you can ever check the river here.
Yeah. Those were my exact thoughts. I'm like, maybe this guy can even check behind a lot when it's the clear front draw that completes. So I do lead, and I do lead for 600.
Okay, so I was thinking about the sizing here. Like, you guys, you said a little bit more than 1,500, right? That you had left. And you're going to bet 600, which is 60% of the pot. So 6 into 1,000. And, you get sticky guys here, right? That still might find the call with like ace, king, or aces, or queens, or they just don't think you have a suited hand. I can get on board with it. The other thing too is that, again, this is one where do you try to take a sizing where you leave yourself enough? We used to call this old school, like Dave Tuckman and I, an escape hatch on the river, meaning that you're going to bet an amount that's kind of chunky for value that will get called by worse, but it's small enough where if you were to get jammed, you won't get pot stuck. There's the opportunity for you to fold, right? Like, if you start with 1,500 on the river with a pot of 1,000, if you bet 1,000 on the river and the guy jams in for 500, now all of a sudden you get pot stuck, right?
Yes.
So
would you have gone maybe a little smaller, like 400?
I guess you could maybe make a case for like something like half pot, but I mean, you bet 6, it leaves yourself, so you leave yourself 9. So if he were to jam, it would be 31, 9 to call. If I'm trying to leave an escape hatch, I always want to try to find an amount where I am willing to fold. I'm not saying that I'm not necessarily always going to fold, but I'm at least willing to fold. You know what I mean? So hero bets 600.
Yes, like I said, I was trying to target basically any king with this size. I mean, I don't think queens or even jacks at this size might call, but yeah, I was trying to target any king. But yeah, now villain actually goes all in and shops for 1,540 total.
So UTG all in for 1,540 total. So it looks like it's going to be 1,600. It's probably like 3130 and what, 940 for you to call?
Yes.
Quick math. So, I mean, here's the thing. Again, it's hard for me to say like in a setup like this, because you've already given this background with this guy who seems like he's not necessarily a standard player. The one thing I will say though, that's different even than before I started the call-in show, was that even though I haven't seen it that much on live streams or even in the games that I've had, we have had a fair amount of calls, I would say, over the last, probably since COVID, where people have run bluffs at the end with like something here that might have like the ace of diamonds or something like that. This guy doesn't seem to me to be at that advanced of a level. But if you say he had like ace queen with like the ace of diamonds, some sort of hand like that. The thing about here's the thing, like, so let's say you're in this spot here Andrew. Not that you ever really have a limp re-raising range, but like in a multi-bet spot here where you had the lead and you had a king and you were your opponent, right? Say that your opponent had like ace king, king queen, king jack. Would you really feel the need to turn that into a bluff, like having the full house blocker getting led into you here at the end?
No.
You'd call or fold, right?
Yes. I don't think I would turn ever a king into a bluff in this spot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best candidate to do that would be like ace king with the ace of diamonds, but like, isn't that a call? Right?
Yeah, that's already like pretty top of his range. Like, why is
Yeah.
he turning that into a bluff?
Right. So
So these basically, I mean, my thoughts in game bar were like, I mean, at the beginning I wanted to throw up because I'm like, oh my God. Like, I mean, again, older gentlemen, normally these people don't run any big bluffs on the river. Like, this is obviously an under bluff spot. But then, I mean, I looked a little bit more at the configuration, and I mean, basically what went through my head was like, from pre-flop, I don't think he has thinking, because I think he probably would have raised to a larger size. Then he could definitely have ace king of diamonds as played. I think he could definitely have ace queen of diamonds. I don't think, but he might have ace five of diamonds, but I don't think so. And then,
well, you can't have ace five of diamonds, right? Because the five of diamonds came at the end, right?
oh yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So that's one less combo. And then what I also thought is like, does he ever jam with the king queen of diamonds? Because that would be the other suited Broadway that gets there. I'm like, I'm not even sure if he jams with.
If he had king queen of diamonds, I mean, if he had king queen of diamonds and you opened over two, this is how we get to be, again, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, but it's building upon sort of like, I always like to call this like, if anybody remembers in college, if you ever took like an intro philosophy class, like what if, I think it's conditional logic, you sort of build on the information in terms of hand reading from the action from behind. So you've got a situation where you have raised out of a tight spot over two limps in the small blind. He has made like one of the most aggressive actions in all of poker, which is a limp re-raise. And then you have called. So if he has king queen of diamonds, which is the second nut flush and the third nut flush, right? I think it would be pretty bad for him to raise the river because almost all of your flushes, maybe with the exception of specifically Jack 10 of diamonds, is going to be ace X of diamonds, right? For you to call out of this configuration pre. So, yeah, right. I don't think that king queen of diamonds should be I would not raise king queen of diamonds if I were him, if I somehow got him in that spot. But
So I discarded that hand as well.
yeah.
And so I think I only have like, I mean, pocket sevens. I mean, maybe like we give them half of the combos. I mean, I doubt he limp raises that. I would think he would just limp call from under the gun with pocket sevens the way he was playing. So yeah, I mean, I I think he could have here and there maybe some stiff ace queen of diamonds with the ace of diamonds, maybe ace jack with the ace of diamonds.
Well, look, you're getting. We'll just call it. You're actually getting better than 3-1, right? But you're getting. But let's just call it 3-1, right? So it means that you have to be good here 1 out of 4 times. So the question then becomes is like, is he bluffing say 25% of the time here of all the times and all the combos that he gets here like this? Does he have a bluff 25% of the time? I mean, that's what it really boils down to. You can turn it around and look at MDF from his perspective, but from our perspective, I don't even want to look at it like from an MDF thing. I want to look at it as a pot odds thing, this particular one. So what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, the pot odds were very good. I only think he has like 2 value hands that really play like this. So I ended up putting in the call, and he did have a bluff. He did have ace of diamonds, queen of spades.
Wow. Well, that's why I said, like, just to start the river, when you did the reveal, I would have said, like, most of the time this is a fold for me, but we have heard of these situations before since COVID, half a dozen times where people are trying to like sort of run this type of bluff. The thing about this though too that I would get concerned about if I was the villain, you look at this and you're like, well, villain has the ace of diamonds, so he's going to run this bluff, right? And he didn't have any showdown, so he's going to run this bluff. The other interesting part of this, though, is that if you're the villain and you have the ace of diamonds, doesn't that mean that you, Andrew, have less flushes here at the end? And maybe you had a hand like pocket sevens or something? You know what I mean? Like,
yes. I could have some trap.
Because like, what if he has the ace of diamonds? What are the diamonds that you have? I guess it could be like king, jack of diamonds, king, queen of diamonds, queen, jack, jack 10. I guess some of the Broadway diamonds, but it's a little bit of a stretch. Anyways, it's an interesting one.
With my combo jack 10, I mean, I block a lot of his possible, like, again, he cannot have ace jack of diamonds, obviously, or ace 10. If I had another, like a lower, like 9-8 of diamonds or 7-8 of diamonds, I probably would have folded in that case. It's a much easier fold. But yeah, I just decided to put in the call and it worked out.
Thank you very much for the call, Andrew. I appreciate it.